Assalamu alaikum, guys. Right now, we're raising money for the homeless brothers and sisters in Gaza due to the bombings. They've lost their houses. They need food, they need supplies, they need essentials. And there is a team on the ground on behalf of the charity Humanity Care Relief that are distributing aid in the middle of the war zone. So please donate as generously as possible at the link below so we can get the aid to those who are in need of it ASAP.
Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When we talk about manhaj, we talk about aqidah, the methodology of the Prophet ﷺ and Salafiyyah and the path of the Salaf. We grossly misunderstand it. Those of us that adhere or want to adhere or claim to adhere to the path of the Salaf. We grossly misunderstand the concept of manhaj and Salafiyyah. One of the ways that we grossly misunderstand it is that we make the presumption that Salafiyyah is only about Aqidah. And that is really incorrect. Salafiyyah is so much more than Aqidah. And that's not belittling or undermining Aqidah. Aqidah is, of course, the most important thing in terms of our deen. But it's not the entirety of what the methodology, the manhaj of the Prophet ﷺ and the Salaf was about. One of the great things that is a part of the manhaj of the Salaf is manners. Manners is a big part of Salafiyyah. It's a big part of the Sunnah. We'll talk about manhaj, Sunnah, same thing. Follow the Sunnah. Following the Sunnah is not just about following out the Prophet ﷺ's Aqidah and the companions, but also following the manners of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions and the rest of the Salaf as-Salih. I mean, have you not heard the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ said, I was sent out to perfect good manners. The Prophet ﷺ said, I was sent out to perfect good manners. As in, that's the reason the Prophet came out. Now, of course, the primary thing is manners with Allah, which is Tawheed. And then manners with the Prophet ﷺ, which is following the Sunnah. But in that, let's not act like manners with the people isn't a part of that. Of course it is. Why is it that we don't place focus on manners? It may be a person that calls himself a Salafi, but his manners are the filthiest and most disgusting manners. He's harsh, he's tough. That's not how the Prophet was. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Allah said, فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ. By the mercy of Allah, you were soft with them. وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظًا قَلْبِي لَنْ فَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. Had you been tough and harsh with them, they would have run away from you. This is the way the prophets were. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Musa to go to Fir'aun. Go to Fir'aun because he's transgressed. Allah said, قُلْ لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. Say to him a word which is soft. Fir'aun, a man who يُقَتِّلُونَ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيُونَ نِسَاءَكُمْ. A man who slaughtered the boys and he let the girls live. But Allah is telling Musa, go to him and say to him a soft word. Speak to him in a soft way. Manners is not just about being soft. It's about knowing at times when you need to be tough. Part of good manners is to be tough, but in the right place, not all the time. Manners is how to sit, how to speak, how to eat, how to manners with the elders, manners with the youngsters, manners with your spouse, manners with your wife, manners with your children, manners with the sheikh, manners in salah. Manners is a big thing. And why is it that our Salafi brothers and sisters don't give importance to manners? That's something that truly shocks me. So much so that in books of Aqidah, you find that at the end of the books of Aqidah, the scholars don't leave off the chapter of manners. That's right, Aqidah al-Wasatiyah, Imam Ibn Taymiyyah brings manners. The kitab by Imam Abu Bakr al-Ismaili, I'tiqad Immat al-Hadith. Again, he brings at the end manners. Manners is a big part of our deen, and it's part of being a Salafi, and it's part of having the correct manhaj, and it's part of the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi as-salatu was-salam. Now, one of the reasons I'm mentioning this is because for your manhaj to be complete and correct, you need to have good manners. But also, manners is something that helps us in our relationships, in our marriages. And we find that in our day and age, that two of the biggest and most misunderstood things are marriage and manhaj. People destroy their marriages. They don't have good marriages. The marriage divorce rate is, I think, at its peak. It's the highest that it's ever been before. Relationships are breaking down. People are getting married and then they get divorced literally shortly after that. They have children, single parent households. Things is a disaster. It's a catastrophe. Does that make sense? People don't know how to be in a relationship. Nor do they know how to be generally with Allah, with the Prophet ﷺ, and with the Sunnah and the Deen. No, they don't. So these two topics, manhaj and manners, manhaj and marriage, are very, 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 very neglected. And both marriage, a part of it is manners, and manhaj, a part of it is manners. And the reason I'm mentioning this to you is because I'm doing something quite unique on the Knowledge College, which I'm running a 30-day program, myself and my brother Saad, on the topic of marriage and manhaj. And we're going to talk about marriage from different perspectives, and we're going to talk about manhaj from different perspectives. But one of the common threads that is going to be taught in both books that we're going to teach, inshallah ta'ala, is manners. The first book, which is a book on manhaj, which is the book in Aqidah, there is a section on manners. And the book with regards to marriage that we're going to go through, which is Adab al-Zafaf by Imam Al-Albani, rahimahullah ta'ala, a huge section of that book is going to talk about manners. It's going to talk about manners on the wedding night. Because the book is actually about the wedding night. It's about the walima. And a huge portion of the book is manners, adab, how a person should be when it comes to manners and intimacy, manners with their spouse, manners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on their wedding night. Does that make sense? So the concept of manners needs to be studied and needs to be revisited. And although both of these books are not books exclusively on manners, but it brings in manners from the concept of manhaj, and it brings in manners from the concept of marriage. And both marriage and manhaj are things that are very highly neglected in our day and age. So inshallah ta'ala, we are hopeful that you will join us for this 30-day program. It's not going to be live. Recordings can be found, inshallah ta'ala, so you can access it from wherever you are, any part of the world, any time of day. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll be releasing a lesson every day for the 30 days since from the moment that it starts. The registration does close in a matter of days, so click the link below and hopefully we see you on the other side. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.